After choosing empowerment over dread, I began searching for meaningful and effective solutions to put into practice in my own life. Progressive Hedonist is a podcast to share the ways we can take on climate change through food and joy. On days when this seems completely impossible, this podcast is a reminder that each of us can make an impact. I'm Dana Cowan. Join me in conversations with thought leaders like Alice Waters, Andrew Zimmern, Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, and more. We can learn together what is possible. You can listen anywhere podcasts can be found and join the conversation on Instagram at progressive_hedonist.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Want to taste a flight of rare agave spirits at Rick Bayless's award-winning Bar Sotano? Or on La Barca Cantina, the storied taco boat touring New York's Hudson River? Or do you want to drink a special lager from the Maine Beer Company? Or how about coffee? Want to start your morning with a Mexican roast from the genius crew at Dark Matter? Well, you can do all those things and support Sacred in the process. Sacred is a not-for-profit that helps improve quality of life in the rural Mexican communities that make heritage agave spirits. We ask Mescalerixes what problems they have, what solutions they imagine to resolve those problems, and what resources they need to enact those solutions. Then we go out and try to find those resources for them. All of those businesses I just mentioned, Bar Sotano, La Barca Cantina, Maine Beer Company, and Dark Matter Coffee, all of them have special offerings on right now that support Sacred. To learn more about these supportive, creative ventures, visit sacredagave.org/fun. That's sacredagave.org/fun, because real fun is also doing real good. I'm Lou Pink.
And I'm Linda Sullivan.
And this is Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Green Gex bartenders better understand agave spirits here in rural Mexico.
One time, we're going to do that intro, and we're going to do the thing where you go every other word. You have every other, and I have every other.
That sounds like fun for us and torture for our listeners.
Oh, no. We'll practice. We'll practice after this.
Hey, Linda.
Hey, Lou.
When did smooth become a dirty word?
Ooh, don't swear like that in the car.
Yeah, like so.
Studio.
Nice. I'll confess, when I hear people describe agave spirits as smooth, I kind of blanch because, to me, smooth is the opposite of complex, and that's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Oh, I love it. We're in an episode about language, folks.
Well, specifically, I want to start by talking about smooth, and then we can roll out into further language.
Okay, I'll be here. I'm using restraint.
So I had an interview recently with Francisco Prieto. He's the global commercial manager of Hacienda de Chihuahua Sotol.
Ooh, yummy.
Yeah. So, Roy, can you light up that quote for me?
We make a Sotol smoother and easy to drink because in the past, the riders, the consumers, have tasted Sotol for many years, but when they try it, they didn't like it because it's hard. But when you send the samples upon of Hacienda de Chihuahua, they believe there is another type of product like tequila because we are very smooth and easy to drink. And Patrick and Andrew, in their daily job, in the daily interviews, writers and journalists tell Overton, the past experience that I have with Sotol was not very good. But when you send me the sample of Hacienda, I like it very much.
So that speaks to, I think, an important distinction between you.
Me, Linda.
Yeah, you, Linda.
Hooray.
Yeah. and the general public.
How come I can't be part of the general public?
Because you are not general. You're more of a lieutenant.
Oh, I just got promoted in the car studio.
So, I think it does speak to the difference between the average consumer and somebody who spends, I was just over visiting our friends at Dark Matter, and I was speaking with my friend Kelly, and she was talking about these tasting notes that she had received that were confusing to her about their chocolates from judges for a chocolate competition.
Oh, so not the average consumer, right?
Right, exactly. Not the average
an expert
consumer.
in the field, I would assume.
Yeah, well, you'd assume, but then I'm a judge for this spirits competition.
Why?
Exactly. And I feel like I taste through everything 3 or 4 times because you know me. I don't really do tasting notes, and that's the whole point to this.
Yeah.
Is tasting notes. And so I do it 3 or 4 times because I feel like if these people are going to read my notes, I should try to get it right. And I try to I do it blind. So then I compare my notes, and oftentimes they are all over the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is tricky because this is like an octopus category. I feel like there are many arms that there's the question of what are people, say the general public, what are people looking for? And then why are they looking for that? Did someone tell them? Do they really know their own palate? Do they explore? I wish there was a test for super tasters are a real thing. There are differences in how sensitive our palates are.
Yeah.
I wish there was some kind of test, like an IQ test that we could take for our palate. So then we would know, hey, you have a great palate and an ability to detect really nuanced flavors. You work at the Beverage Tasting Institute. You are the judge on this panel because we know for sure that person's an expert in the field.
Well, no. All we know, I would argue, because that's what we're here to do, is argue. I would argue that what you get is somebody who can taste things. There's still
taste things.
Yeah. Like they can taste more nuances than the average person.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they're tasting the same thing that I will taste. In the same way that you might see red as one thing and I see it as another thing.
100%. So that that is science stuff. That's because our palates are all different. They're based on what we ate when we were raised, what we even ate that day. Our taste buds shed and recycle every, 7-8 years?
Really?
Something. Yeah. I mean, we'll need to Google, or maybe we need future Linda to come in and holler the facts at us.
Only if you want to.
Okay, well, I'll Google it when we're done. But there are truths to that and how our bodies work, which I think, so when I teach, I also try not to tell folks what to taste, right? However, I think that experience in mindful tasting, right? You're not, what do you say? Ripping shots. You're not ripping shots. And this is one of the things I love about
Though there's
the
nothing
agave
wrong
world.
with ripping shots if that's how you want to do it.
Yeah. Maybe not too many, but yes.
Fair. Shoot responsibly.
Shoot responsibly. The sipping part to me is so mindful. And I think that practice and guided education in that field can make you more familiar with your own taste buds, right? Just like you could be aware of your emotional triggers, or you could just fly off the handle and be a hothead, right? This takes inner focus and intention, and you need to care about it. So I think that we can be taught to be better tasters. I also think we can be taught to learn how to use words like smooth.
Well, okay. So I know you want to go there, but I'm still going to pull you back for a second.
All right, I'm coming back.
No, it's okay. We'll get there. But, I when you're saying you have to be taught, I just want a drink. I just want some Sotol. Why do I have to learn? I just want to drink it.
Oh, but you
Why
can.
Can't it be smooth?
You can. And why can't it be smooth?
Yeah, just let it be smooth and easy.
Yeah. That.
Oh, hang on.
What?
I thought you were going to fight me this whole episode. It looks like you're just about to come over to my side.
No, I know that this is your opinion.
If you do that, I'll have to go over to your side.
No, you're going to kick me out of the car because I don't make a good enough podcast. I agree with you. I know you feel strongly about this, that people can drink what they want. right?
Yeah.
That, you know,
And-
if it's what I would call terrible, you know, tasting
What you would call
product,
terrible.
or- right. You say
and
if
what I
somebody
might
else likes
call
it.
a premium tequila. Actually, on that note, I've got another quote I'm going to have, Roy, if you could drop in the Chuck Cowdery quote here.
Okay, let's see where this takes us.
Well, I've noticed that a lot of the chic tequilas kind of follow along the vodka pattern, which is that the most premium vodkas are the ones that taste the most like water. And it seems like that's true of a lot of the premium tequilas too. They don't really put a premium on flavor. They put a premium on lack of flavor. No unpleasant flavors. You get a little bit, you've got that agave note. It never goes away. You can always tell you're drinking an agave spirit, but there's nothing in there to offend you. And that seems to be the goal of the fancy bottle, premium priced vodkas and tequilas, to make a nearly neutral spirit that just has a little twinge of something that tells you what it is and maybe makes it a little bit distinctive so you can identify, oh, that's such and such a brand. But I don't know. I like flavor.
Yeah.
And so I'm always going to prefer something that's got some flavor to it, to something that's more neutral. The only way I'm going to prefer the more neutral thing is as compared to something that actually tastes bad.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. Now you got me going. Because
You can start me up.
Start me up. That's a great comparison, and that Chuck is seeing between the agave world and the vodka world. But I'm going to tell you what.
Tell me what.
I will tell you what. Nobody should be making a spirit. Lord, an agave spirit, the monocarpic plant that is so beautiful. Nobody should be making that in an effort to make it like vodka. Okay? Vodka, in the history of spirits, you get out of here. Vodka was created to look like nothing, taste like nothing, smell like nothing. It was for folks in the Prohibition era that were not fans of all the botanicals in gin. And vodka is the flavor is mostly distilled right out of it. And even people that like vodka will say so. That's why they like it, because it doesn't taste like anything. That, to me, is not somebody destined to be an agave drinker, because agave is varied.
So what he said was, you always get that little agave note. He's not saying it should be neutral. Now, having said that, there is an agave vodka on the market, a vodka made with agave as the sugar source.
Barf.
Well, look, we just recorded an episode where you said not to judge.
Oh,
and here
man.
you are judging. It may not be for you, and it may not be for me. Let's rephrase that. It's not for you. It's not for me. But I get it. Do I throw a friend under the bus?
Here's the thing that hurts me, though, right? I want to approach this category, like I said, with curiosity and openness. But the more I'm not an agriculture, expert, but one of the things I appreciate most about learning new information, talking to producers and people in the mezcal world about agave, is that I have learned about this super cool plant that is unlike any other crop from which we make spirits. Grapes, wheat, sugarcane, they all grow back.
It's kind of like Dazelirian, but anyway.
So those could share, right? Agave cousins, air quotes.
Yeah.
Agave cousins to me share the same space in that respect.
And what is it, Penca Verde or Penca Larga? I can't remember, one of those. Anyway,
one of those.
But your point being, it's so unique.
Special. Yeah, I don't want you to distill the whatchamacallits out of it. Well, I want you to respect it, because I've learned to respect it.
Yeah, but I think that it is respect if you're enjoying it. I think if somebody wants to drink something easy and smooth, and
then they should choose vodka.
No, they
It's
should
easy and
choose.
smooth.
They should choose something that they want to choose. And, the vast majority of consumers are going to drink it in a cocktail anyway. And people like you, bartenders, bartendexes, are going to bury whatever it is. Well, okay, no, you're enhancing the flavors with different ingredients.
compliment.
Yeah. But my point is simply, look, people are going to pay a premium. They're going to pay a premium. They want to make it something they can drink easily. Great. Let them drink it easily. I don't think, and again, I blanch when I see that word smooth, but it's because I don't want it smooth. I don't want that smooth. But, you serve me up like a whiskey or a rum, and while I blanch at that word because the word smooth, because it's not what I want in agave spirit, and therefore I wouldn't use it when I describe rum. The truth is, give me the sugary sweet rum that's easy to drink.
Right. I think you can find smooth in every category if you wanted to, or
without
smoother,
question.
right? On a
Yeah.
spectrum, there's something is smoother than something.
The
I don't
milkshakes
know,
at McDonald's,
I don't know
smooth,
that
the ones
I'm
at
on
Wendy's.
board with smooth and complex being a dichotomy. I do not consider those opposites. I think there are components of each that are unlike the other, right? But I think complex is more of a flavor word, and smooth is more of a texture word. And so I can't
Hang on.
I can't compare them. It's a little apple orangey for
texture
me.
word.
Smooth. Smooth or rough.
So do you get like crunchy agave spirits? Have I been missing something?
I think you can get spirits or in the agave world or out that are chewy.
Chewy?
I think chewy is a
Seriously?
good flavor word. Think of, I'm going to use a wine as an example.
Are we now moving on to the whole language?
Well, I'm sorry. That's where I naturally go. You go to what you know.
You go, Linda.
Let's call me Miss Sullivan for this part because I used to be an English teacher, and that's why I angle. But I think they have opposite details, but I think smooth is something that speaks primarily to texture and a little less to flavor. But I also believe in a world where language can be flexible, right? So I don't think that, I'm not like putting down the gavel and smooth is speaking to texture. See you later,
Yeah.
But I think that, I lost my train of thought. I think that...
Roy, can you find her train?
Yeah, can you save me? And No, I just think that that's not the only... They're not looking for non-complex when they ask for smooth. I think that requires a little bit of punching out the details there. You know what I mean?
Huh. Okay. Well, I disagree, but I don't want to go there. Instead, I want to go like you. I know you have very specific thoughts about the language that people use to describe the spirits that they're drinking.
So specific.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right?
Well, I specific in that I think language is important, and I think when tasting,
I think being able to communicate through interpretive dance is important.
we could try that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take us a while to hone that though and tighten it up.
Yeah, fair.
So we understand one another.
Sure, fair.
I think there are tons and tons of cool words we can use to describe. It's very abstract to taste, I think, to pull out tasting notes.
Yeah.
You're kind of grasping in the air for not a concrete item that you can hold, right? It's a concept.
Yeah.
I think that can be hard for people. So if they find something that is more... That silky is another word that I would maybe use as a sometimes synonym to smooth. And that can come from many different reasons. It can come from maybe a lack of complexity.
Yeah.
It can come from a higher sugar situation because sugar can be perceived on our palate as
oils,
smooth.
like the oils
Or
that are
oils, because there's that texture that's kind of viscous to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, but that's the word detail. I don't know if I'm being too abrupt to go back, but I think I am concerned about what Chuck said about how they are making tequila. Was he talking about tequila or agave distillate?
I know he was talking very specifically about premium tequilas.
About premium tequila. Okay, so if they're going for smooth, don't you think this is another rising of the issue of making products for perhaps the gringo or American market?
Oh, it's interesting. I get what you're saying, and it'd be hard for me to dispute that, given that we consume more tequila than Mexico or any other country.
Right.
But I'll also say that my friend Anna, who runs runs Mucho, the Museum of Chocolate in Mexico City, she is a self-described tequila fan, and the tequilas that she drinks are largely the ones that we drink, that I would argue, and I don't mean this as any disrespect, Anna, but that are largely smooth.
Interesting.
And here's somebody who has a palate that recognizes all of this complexity in chocolate. Like, go to that museum in Mexico City, eat through their little tasting room, and you'll be blown away at the complexity. But when she's drinking her tequila, and I don't think she would say it's smooth. Or maybe
you think she would use other words to describe the same thing someone else would describe as smooth?
I don't know. I feel like now I have to call her.
Ooh, let's.
Okay.
I think that two thoughts come to my mind. One, that could be an exception. And the greater truth still may be that those production details are being selected because of economics. Yeah. And they know that they're distributing to the United States, and that's what we like. The other thing that comes to my mind, though, is that sometimes, and we have seen, sometimes the mezcal, right? We're talking about premium tequila here, but sometimes the mezcal that is drunk in Mexico, in the communities, is much lower proof. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't a lot of people say that the lower proof feels smooth to their palate versus maybe that more peppercorny, spicy, fireworky detail of a higher proof?
That is, I think that is a very insightful comment. And then you consider the fact that in Mexico, to qualify as tequila, it only has to be, or mezcal, or really any spirit, only has to be 35% ABV, whereas in the USA, it has to be at least 40%.
Right. So that's not only a decision, it's also embedded in the rules.
Right.
Both or the rules are coming from the long-standing traditions.
But from that standpoint, I would argue that, in fact, in some ways, our consumption is making it less smooth. Tequila, specifically, is making it less smooth because now there are more 40%, 42%.
Or the ABV goes up because it has to in the U.S., and another detail is being adjusted to achieve the perception of smoothness that folks get at 35?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It's fascinating, though, isn't it?
I mean, I love the fact that there are so many variables. That's what makes these conversations so interesting. It is the least black and white I have ever. There's such gradient, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say that we're approaching the end of our conversation, and as usual, we don't have a clear conclusion.
Correct.
Don't you feel that?
I absolutely feel that. But I also, I want to, and maybe this is sort of the end point, right? Is you and I were just recently traveling together, and I thought I had used this anecdote on you before, and I hadn't, and I thought I'd had it in an episode, so I guess I have not. But I've been working with the Agave Road Trip Poet Laureate, Larry Beckett, and Larry has been teaching me how to consume poetry. And he said, Lou, don't listen to the words, just feel the poem. And I can't. And I keep going back to the words, and it frustrates him. But I realized at one point that is literally how I consume agave spirits, is I'm not thinking about the different notes and the different flavors. I'm consuming it as a whole. But having said that, if it's smooth, if it filters through my palate as smooth,
you feel like you'll steer away from it. That's not going to be in your top three.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that concept of smooth can also arch over all different, wine, agave, all different spirits, right? As we've alluded to. And I think it can be preference, and it doesn't have to be a dirty word. I would fight against that. You know, I agree with you that you can drink whatever you like.
Yeah.
But I also want to challenge the concepts in the category, right? Like I'm talking about the specialness of the agave and what do we really want from that? I want that specialness to be highlighted. For me, that is not smooth either.
Yeah.
I would typically not, unless maybe you taste two agave side by side, two premium tequila, let's say, right? Side by side. And one feels like it has maybe more heat, more spiciness, more rough, like almost texture to it. And the other feels smoother or more muted or easier to drink. I think by comparison, those would be helpful words to use. But I really do not want agave to go the route of vodka. So I'm gonna keep that point in my no basket.
Okay. Okay, Linda. Well, I guess we'll call that a wrap, and then I will catch you next episode when we discuss when exactly did moist become a dirty word.
I'm out of town. I'm not available for that recording.
Okay. Well, I'll catch you after that episode.
See you later,
Hasta
Senor
pronto. You've been listening to Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Gringex bartenders better understand agave spirits, and rural Mexico. We're blessed with sound engineering by Roy Sierra and a theme song performed by Gabriel Oliveira and Marco Ricos. Sign up to become a road tripper and listen to more episodes at agaveroadtrip.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please let us know. And if you hated it, well, I'm sure you'll let us know that too. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Agave Road Trip. Agave Road Trip is a production of 10 Angry Pit Bulls, Inc. Agave Road Trip is powered by Simplecast. Thank you for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. To subscribe to the Heritage Radio newsletter, enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with Heritage Radio Network on Instagram and Twitter at heritage_radio. You can also find Heritage Radio Network at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization using the power of educational storytelling about food to build a more equitable, resilient food system. Heritage Radio Network couldn't do that without support from listeners like you. Become a part of the world's most innovative community today. Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the Heritage Radio Network family by becoming a member. To become a member of the Heritage Radio Network, click on the beating heart of our homepage. Heritage Radio Network can become addictive. Programming you hear on Heritage Radio Network might lead you to eat, drink, and listen to more programming on Heritage Radio Network. If you drink, please do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly, drive responsibly, eat responsibly too, and listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly. To listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly, wear protective earbuds. While wearing protective earbuds, do not drive, do not walk either. Sit in a comfortable chair. If that comfortable chair has a hard seat, please remember to stretch every 30 minutes. If you stretch every 30 minutes, please stay within your defined stressing capacity. And consult a doctor who specializes in stretching. If you don't have a doctor, maybe Dr. Ryan Aycock, the Cocktail MD, can help you out. Thanks for listening. Agave Road Trip out.
Hey listeners, thank you so much for listening to HRN. We want to make your experience as a listener even better, and to help us do that, we'd love your input on our audience survey. It'll only take a few minutes, and by completing it, you can enter to win a $250 gift card from Goldbelly. Visit heritageradionetwork.org/survey to take the survey and to help us keep growing and improving. That's heritageradionetwork.org/survey. Thanks for your support.